On April 30, 1980, a group of unknown men entered the Iranian Embassy in London. Armed with guns, they rushed toward the entrance, passing by startled onlookers who instinctively ran in the opposite direction, sensing danger. The men forcefully opened the door, confronted the security guard at gunpoint, and fired shots to assert dominance, spreading fear among everyone inside. Once inside, they corralled the people into a corner, ensuring they could keep a close watch on the hostages. Curtains were drawn, doors locked, and it became clear that the occupants were now hostages. That same day, Kate 80, a BBC reporter, arrived at the scene. Before she could get too close, a police officer stopped her. Meanwhile, in another location, a group of elite soldiers from the Special Air Service, SAS, led by Rusty Furman, was rehearsing tactical drills. In the middle of their session, they received an alert about the embassy siege, and the team was mobilized for the developing crisis. Across town, Chief Inspector Max Vernon of the Metropolitan Police was also summoned to the scene. He joined other officials near the embassy, which served as a temporary command post. The authorities soon received a call from the attackers, identifying themselves as the Democratic Revolutionary Front for the Liberation of Arabistan. Their leader, Salim, demanded the release of Arabs imprisoned in Iran, threatening to execute a hostage if their demands were unmet by noon the following day. The call ended abruptly, leaving the officials with little time to strategize. As night fell, reporters from various news outlets gathered outside the embassy, setting up cameras to cover the situation. Inside a briefing room, senior officials debated possible courses of action, while the SAS unit arrived in London and took up positions in a building adjacent to the embassy. The SAS began preparing for a potential storming of the embassy. Rusty Furman examined photos pinned to a wall, familiarizing himself with their faces. The SAS were ordered to be on high alert, ready to act if any hostage was harmed. At the same time, tensions were rising inside the command center, where interpreters grew increasingly frustrated with the terrorists' erratic calls and demands. When the terrorists' deadline drew near, the SAS took their positions, awaiting further instructions. Inside the command center, Max Vernon was informed of the SAS plan to ambush the terrorists if they were granted a bus to Heathrow. However, Max hoped to resolve the situation without bloodshed. In an effort to build trust, he contacted Salim and suggested releasing a hostage as a gesture of goodwill. To his surprise, Salim agreed and released an ill hostage, who was escorted to an ambulance by the police. Max seized the opportunity to deepen the rapport with Salim by offering food. Salim insisted that Max deliver it personally. Max carried the food to the embassy, extending it to Salim through a window. During this exchange, Salim demanded the arrival of an Arab ambassador and a bus to Heathrow, while also agreeing to extend his deadline by 48 hours. The next morning, the SAS prepared to leave the area, expecting that the terrorists might be allowed safe passage to the airport. However, government officials opposed the idea, believing it posed too great a risk. The SAS returned to their posts, practicing breach tactics and refining their plans for an assault on the embassy. Later that night, covert operatives drilled into a wall near the terrorists' location and inserted microphones to monitor their conversations. The SAS also discovered a glass panel light well that provided a direct view into the room, revealing hostages being mistreated by the terrorists. Tensions escalated as one of the terrorists, Faisal, threatened to kill a hostage. Salim, however, urged restraint, reminding Faisal of the deadline extension. The heated argument between them was overheard by officials listening through the microphone. That morning, Max was informed that the Arab League had declined involvement, dashing hopes of using diplomacy to resolve the crisis. The British government decided to authorize a military intervention if there was evidence of a hostage execution. Later that day, Salim contacted Max, growing impatient with the delay in meeting his demands. Max tried to keep him calm, lying that the ambassadors were en route. Meanwhile, Salim complained about noises from the walls, suspecting preparations for an attack. Max quickly ordered the drilling to stop, hoping to buy more time. Salim also requested an interview with the BBC, to which Max responded that it might take another day to arrange. The situation deteriorated further when Faisal, frustrated by the delays, executed a hostage in a fit of rage. The gunshots echoed through the embassy, sending a chill through the command post. Salim informed the officials that they could collect the body, confirming the murder. The government now had no choice but to authorize the SAS to launch an assault. The SAS team, led by Rusty Furman, rehearsed their final assault plan. Explosions and gunfire rang out as they practiced breaching rooms and neutralizing threats. Fully armed and equipped, the SAS moved to their designated positions, awaiting for the go order to strike. That evening, the officials anxiously monitored the BBC broadcast, hoping the network would read Salim's statement. When the broadcast aired without incident, Salim expressed his gratitude to Max and released 2 more hostages. However, the reprieve was short-lived, and the SAS remained on standby, ready to storm the building at a moment's notice. Early in the morning, tension escalated once more. Through the listening devices, officials heard the terrorists shouting and threatening the hostages. One hostage was tied to a staircase as Faisal brandished a gun, preparing to kill him. Outside the embassy, Kate 80 continued reporting live, capturing every development. Inside the SAS command center, Rusty memorized the faces of the terrorists to ensure none could escape during the assault. As Max spoke with Salim over the phone, Faisal lost his temper and executed the hostage with 3 gunshots. The murder was the signal the SAS had been waiting for. With the situation now critical, Max was tasked with keeping Salim distracted on the phone while the SAS made their move. The team positioned themselves around the embassy, ready to breach from windows, doors, and the rooftop light well. The moment Salim hung up the phone, the SAS was given the green light. Explosions shattered the glass panels, and the SAS stormed the building with precision and force. In a swift and decisive operation, the SAS cleared the rooms, killing Salim and 4 other terrorists. As they escorted the hostages to safety, Rusty spotted Faisal attempting to blend in with the hostages. Without hesitation, he shot and killed Faisal, preventing him from detonating any explosives. Outside, the final terrorist was discovered hiding among the hostages and was promptly arrested. The siege had ended, the hostages were freed, and the remaining terrorist was taken into custody, marking the conclusion of one of the most dramatic hostage rescues in modern history.